has a population of 1.2 billion people and counting. Now imagine an infrastructure that caters to the needs of this growing population. 1.2 billion people who are traveling by road, rail and air. It is estimated that the Indian rail network is one of the largest networks under a single management. It's also the fourth largest rail network in the world. Roads are a popular form of transport, but railways are a lifeline. Hello and welcome. I'm Manvi Dhillon and you're watching DuPont Presents The Power of Shunya, Quest for Zero. And today we're on a quest to find out what ails the transport sector and what we can do to improve it. We'll explore how critical lifelines of the country are neglected and ignored, and how the miracle of science and technology is ushering in a transformation. A pioneer, an entrepreneur, a visionary, a man who's redefined the way India can move with his passion for the transportation sector. Chetan Beni, thank you very much for joining us on the show. If you had to say these are the top 3 or 4 challenges for transportation in India, what would come to your mind on that list?
I think the first part would be pollution. I think it's just not sustainable today the way we are, and that needs to change. The second is a set of infrastructure. We need hygiene. We need better roads. We need better infrastructure for people to build on the transportation side on this area. A 3 is a significant shift in the efficiency of usage. Energy usage is very expensive in the country, and if we are going to change the country in this area, that cost structure has to come down. And the 4th, I think, is connectivity. It's part of how we build the GDP. If I think of rural India, urban India, the connectivity within our cities and throughout the country is very poor. If transportation has drive GDP, then that connectivity becomes a very important aspect.
Run us through the highlights of the transportation policy that you are excited by.
Well, I think it needs to be thinking about integrated infrastructure. It needs to be thinking of integrated multimodal transportation. It needs to be thinking of looking at how cities, especially new ones coming up, start from the beginning on a much better planning part of it. So metros don't surface halfway through when you build a city on this area.
I'm going to change tracks a little bit. Indian Railways, one of the largest and busiest transportation networks in the world. And sure, the railways score over road transport just in terms of the carbon footprint. But I'm sure there's a lot more that the Indian Railways can do in terms of greater energy efficiency. If you had to draw up a prescriptive list for them, what would you recommend?
Well, that's an interesting one. I think higher level of electrification, first of all, because electric machines are 5x more efficient than IC combustion machines. So therefore, just that itself would make a big shift. So electrification, hybridization would be the first level. The other ones would be, all your lights and fans, everything run on batteries. Well, why aren't you've got trains have nice big surface areas, put solar panels on them, use them to generate their own energy. Maybe even add that to all the stations on this area to look at it.
Compare India with other countries on a similar track with similar challenges.
Trying to integrate solutions within the city center of how all the modes of transportation come together are going to be important. Looking at solutions that are cleaner in technologies on this area coming together. Looking at how private and public transportation link better. It's great to put metros, but you don't address first mile, last mile commute. You don't have a solution for a person. So I think it is these aspects where we've done things in bits and pieces, which now need to start to integrate together to really make a difference when we think of transportation.
This show is The Power of Shunya, Quest for Zero. What is your vision for Shunya when it comes to transportation in India?
It's about zero wastage. It's about changing efficiency, right? It's about zero pollution on this area. It's about using nature's in its form of energy as we look at transportation.
The Indian rail network is the country's most important transport system. In fact, it's the world's 4th longest and the most used system in the world, shuttling over 8 billion passengers every year over 115,000 kilometers of track. The Indian Railways has been able to deliver on the expectations of 1.25 billion people despite numerous challenges. And the Railways has been able to deliver because it has embraced innovation and technology. Take a look. More than half the population of our country depends on one particular means of transport, the railway network, that reaches almost everywhere, proving to be a lifeline for all of us.
The size of the population in this country means that there has been always a challenge how to carry such a large number of people in railways. Now with the economic development, there is also the increase in mobility.
Rail tracks, power supply, transmission efficiency, everything needs optimum maintenance. But the ever-expanding railway network not only has to maintain efficiency when transporting the ever-increasing population, but also has to work towards Shunya safety hazards.
So this can be done, and this can be done only through modernization. So we can achieve the zero accidents or zero failures of our assets, so that the trains can become more reliable.
We've just got a sense of the huge challenges that Indian Railways is facing to ensure safety and reliability. Now let's take a look at the science that is working to ensure that every part of the Indian Railways is working the way it should. A transformer is the heart of a locomotive. It's the primary force behind a train in motion. And DuPont's Nomex material makes sure that such a crucial component performs well at all times and enhances its capacity as well. DuPont Nomex insulation paper. How does it score over conventional insulation paper that is used in transformers? Why and how is it different?
Two critical parts. One is the higher heat resistance properties of Nomex. The second part, the dielectric strength of Nomex at high heat. So what does it mean? That when there is a high heat in the transformer, the insulation has to stay there. It has to perform its dielectrical properties. When the material doesn't perform at a high heat, the transformer will fail. It can also take the variation of the heat, and also it can go up to 220 degrees centigrade temperature, which is a critical part of the functioning parameters.
DuPont's Nomex material has proved itself to be an optimum and sustainable solution for the environment in which the locomotive transformers operate in India. Your collaboration with DuPont on railway transformers in particular, when did it begin? How long has it been in play? What has it brought to the table?
We have manufactured the transformers where the railway wanted to increase their capacity in the same size. We approached the DuPont. They have given us some good material, Nomex, that by using this material you will be able to enhance the capacity of transformer, that because this is a good insulating material.
How do they score over previous older generation transformers in reliability terms?
We have used the Nomex material, and after using the Nomex material, we have done the experiment as per the international standard, and we proved with the facts and testing procedure that this Nomex paper will definitely last for more than 10 years in the normal run.
Rail tracks are as important as the transformers for the locomotives to operate. A track breakdown can cause severe damages and casualties. And in order to avoid such incidents, DuPont Performance Polymers has introduced Hytrel and Zytel applications that help in improving the track efficiency. What is Hytrel?
So Hytrel is a thermoplastic elastomer. So in very simple terms, it's got all the properties of rubber, but it's a plastic. So when you look at the properties, it's got the compressive properties of rubber, but it doesn't have some of the disadvantages that come with rubber, like cracking due to aging. It's got better chemical resistivity and resistivity to oil, so it lasts for a lot longer than rubber while giving you the same performance.
How does it get used by the Indian Railways?
So if you look at the carriage of a train, between the wheels you'll see this coil spring, which is like the suspension for the train. Hytrel is used to build washers that go at the top and the bottom of these coil springs. And really what it does, it acts as a dampener. It prevents the metal-to-metal contact, so it makes the ride a lot smoother.
What is DuPont Zytel? What does it do for Indian Railways? What's the role that it's playing?
So Zytel plays a very important role in the track fastening system. Now let me explain that a little bit. If you look at a railway track, you have sleepers that are there, and then you have the metal rail which is placed on top of that. The metal rail needs to be fastened onto the sleeper, and there's an entire fastening mechanism. Now, in this situation, you don't want metal-to-metal contact, because this creates problems in terms of corrosion on the railway track and also in the track circuiting areas. And that's where the Zytel comes in as an insulating liner between the clip and the rail to prevent this metal-to-metal contact.
Be it transformer reliability or combating track breakdowns, DuPont is providing strong, effective and innovative solutions to meet the needs of the railways.
In Shunya terms, Hytrel essentially is bringing to the railways zero maintenance. It's bringing zero passenger discomfort because it smoothens the ride. And finally, it's bringing in zero waste because Hytrel is 100% recyclable material, unlike rubber, which cannot be recycled. In terms of Zytel, Zytel is really bringing in zero corrosion at the track level, so it's bringing in track integrity, and it's bringing in zero signal failure, which in itself leads to zero accidents or Shunya safety incidents.
Our role here is making sure that all the locomotives that are there on the track, make sure they run. They run well, full time, 24 hours, taking people to their destination. And that's the way we find that we are doing more with less, and that's the way we are trying to achieve the power of Shunya.
Few things would bring India to its knees quite like a major operational breakdown of the Indian railways. And few things would avoid such a breakdown quite like science and technology. The fact that Indian Railways has employed both science and innovation to achieve zero safety concerns should leave passengers with a real sense of security and confidence in this vital public service. After the break, the part of Shunya quest for zero continues with another exciting innovation, this time on the roads. Stay tuned. A busy road like this is a lifeline for people in a city. It is also potentially life-threatening. Road accidents and traffic horror stories have become part and parcel of our existence. We talk about them, we worry about them, but are we doing enough to make sure that people don't lose their lives simply by being on a road or traveling by road? Transport is important, moving about is essential, but so is safety and so is protocol. Today we examine an innovation that has the potential to bring traffic fatalities down to Shunya. More than 231,000 people are killed in road traffic accidents in India every year. 50% of accident victims are pedestrians, cyclists and motorcyclists. 95% of accident victims do not receive timely medical care in the critical moments after an injury.
If you're driving at a speed, there is always a chance of a head injury, and that is what is fatal. You need to be there within 10 to 15 minutes. If you don't, minor injuries become serious injuries become fatal injuries.
Aiming to encourage riders to wear helmets and also reduce the gap for critical care in case of an accident is this committed startup, Technoplanet, incubated at the Manav Rachna International University in Faridabad.
What made us think of it is the fact that we believe that most uncoolest things with the Tadka of technology can be converted into coolest ones. Safety and wearing helmets specifically are considered to be really uncool according to Indian mindsets. So that's the thing we are trying to change. We are trying to add a few more reasons for the riders to wear a helmet.
A rider himself, Mohit Behel, the brain behind the startup, is ironing out the chinks before this prototype hits the roads in India.
Mohit, how does the Smart Skull work? Walk us through each step of it.
Fine. So firstly, when the rider has to put on the helmet, firstly he has to switch on the device. Fine. So once the device is switched on, now we have the application in the phone. Fine. So you just need to connect the smart skull with that application. So when I'll press the button, so it's get connected now. Fine. So I'd also inserted 3 emergency numbers in the application, like here. Fine. And now, if I had met with an accident, fine, the helmet is going to sense all the possible scenarios in an accident. Like now it has received an alert. So now it gives a 10 seconds prompt to the user. So if no response has been received by the application, it sends the alert to those 3 emergency contact numbers plus the emergency responder.
I wanted to get a sense from you on how the smart skull decides that this is worth an alert. How does the smart skull behave almost in response to an accident-like situation?
So basically there are 2 criteria. One is the occurrence of an accident, but not an head impact. Fine. So in that case, it basically senses the orientation of the head of the rider. So if I met with an accident, basically I'll fall down. And in that case, there are certain orientations of my head, fine, like this or that. So it sends the alert in that case. Another case is that when it receives an impact, fine. So in that case also it sends the alert.
The Smart Skull application rests on the bedrock of Rescue Life, which is a complete emergency life support system on a mobile phone.
Your relative has met with an accident. Please check your inbox for details or continue with the call.
And according to the Technoplanet team, this innovation in action could mean the difference between life and death. What is the potential impact of the Smart Skull according to you?
See, in India, the expected time of an ambulance to reach is 10 minutes. But only 10 to 15% of those ambulances are able to reach on time. So this innovation has the power to bring that time maximum to 10 minutes. See, so we are reducing the time to convey the information. So the information of an accident is conveyed in seconds. And also, if there is an emergency responder available in 5 kilometers of the area, then he'll be able to reach the emergency location in 10 minutes.
Aiming for 0 road accident fatalities, the Smart Skull could potentially be a lifesaver for many riders in India. This is the part of Shunya quest for zero. How would you apply the concept of Shunya to the Smart Skull?
See, this innovation is done to really bring the delay in reporting an emergency to 0. And this is how we are trying to reduce the road fatalities to Shunya.
On congested roads in India, this application could indeed be a game changer. We're back with Chetan Meni to take stock of innovations in transportation in India. What kind of specific things would you like to see happening in India? And I ask specific because there is some level of innovation underway, but where do you think specifically innovation must be accelerated? Which areas, so that we can really have a transformational effect here in India on transportation?
So I would start first with product. At product, we want more electrification, we need better batteries, we need better lightweighting, we need more energy efficient materials, which will make our transportation solutions much more efficient and zero pollution. We then need to look at solutions around city centers. How do we connect them? So multimodal transportation systems. It would be nice to have an Android for a city. Here is the open architecture of a city. I plug in my transportation, my trains, my car share, and if I want to go from point A to point B, I need to press a button and it tells me the best way to get here at this time is use a car and then use the metro and then use this and get there and walk the last 300 yards. Now that kind of integration creates a level of software on this area.
From a slightly different angle, I wanted your views on what you see as the scope for renewable energy in transportation in India?
So India produces around 31,000 megawatts of renewable energy. If you take a guess, that actually can power over 2 crore cars. That's all the cars we have in the country. So today's renewable energy could power every car in the country.
How can we realistically get onto that path of zero emissions? And I ask realistically, conceptually there's no denying it. Sounds great, should be done. How do we get to that path? It just seems like we're taking very small steps right now.
Today, if I put a 3 meter by 3 meter panel, solar panel, it's going to power your car for free energy for the next 30 years. Imagine a distributed solution around this. Forget governments doing anything. Imagine if each person did that part and he becomes energy independent and his car is zero pollution and his car doesn't require energy. So I think the solutions are here today. Are people aware that such solutions exist? No. Are people aware that what they invest can pay back in 18 months instead of 20 years? No. So with awareness, the technology changes are going to make this. So combination of what people can do and what the country can do together in policies, I think can make this reality much, much quicker.
Well, on that optimistic note, thank you very much for talking to us today, Chetan Meni. On the show today, we focused on the transport sector. Transport without proper infrastructure can paralyze the lives of millions of Indians on the move. It's a sector that needs constant innovation given the sheer number of people with transport needs in India. We need to improve existing infrastructure. We also need to feel safe and protected while we're on the move. The innovations on the show today addressed both those objectives. That's it on this edition of DuPont Presents The Part of Shunya Quest for Zero, a show that celebrates science and innovation, technologies that could secure our future, human ingenuity that could reduce our challenges to zero. Till next week then, goodbye.